And now, welcome to today's ALA Solution Series webcast, Unlock Hidden Value, Maximizing Your Law Firm's Contract Portfolio with AI. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, CobbleStone Software. CobbleStone provides contract, vendor, and e-procurement management software. Their software is used by hundreds of organizations spanning the globe. Thousands of legal, sales, and procurement professionals use and trust CobbleStone software for their contract, sales, and procurement needs. CobbleStone software is a cloud-based or deployed on-premises and used by many leading companies, state and local governments, and other regulated organizations worldwide. Their platform hosts over 3 million contract transactions and billions of dollars in contract value. Thank you, CobbleStone, for sponsoring today's webcast. I'd also like to introduce our presenter today, Kristen Riviello. Kristen is the Account Relationship Manager at CobbleStone Software. Kristen has a deep understanding of contract lifecycle management and account management, which enables her to enhance client satisfaction, strengthen retention, and support business growth through proactive engagement and personalized service. Welcome, Kristen. We look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, my name is Kristen Riviello. I am the Account Relationship Manager here at CobbleStone, and I look forward to walking through today's AI-focused webinar with you all. Now, just to give a slight high-level agenda, this is what we're going to be kind of looking at today and what we'll be covering. So we'll be providing an intro to AI, reviewing what AI can do, CobbleStone's Wisdom AI. We'll also be watching some overview videos and more before wrapping up for the day with our Q&A. Now, I do want to mention that for this webinar, we will be doing a giveaway. So whoever registers for a demo and attends the demo will automatically win either a $20 Amazon gift card or allowed to donate to one of the 3 charities that you see on screen. At the end of today's webinar, there will be a QR code to sign up. Now, I'd like to just take a moment and have you let us know how familiar you are with using AI in your contract lifecycle management. Is it something that currently your organization does not utilize in any capacity? Is it something that you're starting to dive into, see if it is beneficial for your organization? Something that's currently used in a more limited capacity? Or something that is really key and essential to your day to day contract processes? I'd love to hear from all of the attendees today, but we are going to proceed. Now, here we have a quote from Gartner, and this shows the really rapid evolution of legal operations due to tools such as generative AI and agentic AI. So, legal tech is no longer a futuristic concept, but presently integrated part of a modern legal operations landscape. So, this new AI era is driven by increased complexities of legal work, increased demand for efficiency as contract volume grows, and there are increased client expectations that come along with that. This evolution is really propelled by forces that demand adaptability from every legal professional. The sophisticated tools that are out there mean that technological proficiency is now really a non-negotiable. There's no more, oh, I'm not tech savvy. There's really no opportunity for that in today's day and age. Legal professionals do have to be comfortable with the various legal technology tools and platforms that are available. And you really need to understand how to use contract management software, case management software, data analytics, cybersecurity best practices, and the capability of AI in law. As far as CobbleStone goes, our contract management software connects legal professionals, symbolizing its role in facilitating collaboration and efficient legal services. So, understanding the data generated by these systems allows for a more overall informed decision making process and better client outcomes. And I'm sure everyone in this call can attest within the 2020 so far, there's really been a profound evolution within the legal sector for integrating these sophisticated tools beyond just things like word processing and email of the past. And technological proficiency, as I mentioned, it's really now a non negotiable. So you really have to be comfortable with the various forms of legal tech tools and platforms. So it's a great thing that you are all here today. Now, those who leverage legal technology can experience a plethora of benefits, such as some of the things that we see on the screen here. So, improved efficiency. Technology improves efficiency across various legal processes, freeing up legal professionals to really focus on more strategic tasks. Reduced errors, automation, and AI contribute to reduce errors in document creation, data entry, and legal research. Improved client services. Legal technology can improve client service through better communication, fuller transparency, and faster turnaround times. And expanding access to legal services. Technology can make legal services more accessible and affordable to a broader range of individuals and businesses. Now, we often hear that sometimes people are a little bit scared to integrate AI because they're scared of being replaced. They think of visions of robots taking over, but despite all that buzz and hysteria, AI is not going to be replacing lawyers anytime soon. So, really, we should start to think of AI as more of a sidekick rather than a competitor. AI is helpful, but that human judgment is really irreplaceable. AI can't replace legal professionals' critical reasoning, an empathetic touch, or decision making skills, and AI does not always guarantee results. It's a tool for increased efficiency, enhanced accuracy, and visually engaging contract analysis. AI in contract management, rather, is designed to really streamline processes. AI contract management software transforms static contract documents and contract data into more dynamic building blocks. And these building blocks really improve oversight, opportunity identification, and risk mitigation. Now, contract AI can also transform the way that your company manages contracts. So we'll be kind of going through the various data points that we see here. But when we think of things like automated data extraction, saving yourself and your team members some busy work by setting up extraction points, AI can review a contract for specific data points and pull that information into related metadata fields in your system for you to then track and report on throughout the entirety of the contract's life cycle. Risk identification. AI can assist with flagging high risk language, even providing potential sentiment views of risk from different perspectives. Auto redlining allows for standardized clause language to automatically be input into the document via red lines. And that clause language within a contract can be pulled from a pre approved legal language library. Data analysis and recommendations. We'll get more into this in a later slide, but contract managers and their teams can identify positive, neutral, or negative facts about contracts in their systems and really help with visibility and strategy. Improving of accuracy. Add language to training data libraries to leverage AI's machine learning and for more accurate data extractions and language identification for future contracts. And integration with current systems. This is another thing that we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation. But Cobblestone is able to offer a number of complementary plugins to a number of leading software, such as Microsoft Word and Outlook, as well as offer the ability to integrate seamlessly with other various systems as well, even outside of the AI arena that we're really focused more on today. So let's talk about automating data extraction. So AI can allow organizations to import contract records into their systems. It's important because this is going to save time, reduce errors, enable faster decision making, whereas more traditional methods can rely on more manual input rule-based scripts or basic OCR. AI also can extract data from invoices, contracts, forms, etc., pull names, dates, amounts, and other key fields. And pulling that structured data from things like PDFs or even image based documents allows for the translation and extract of data from across a wide range of sources. And overall, this just leads to efficiency, accuracy, scalability, and overall cost savings. I know that I regularly work with clients who leverage AI to really assist them with identifying key metadata in their contracts. So, again, it can be easily tracked on and reported in their system, and the information is there when they need it. And then they can spend the time saved on other various important projects throughout the day, the month, and overall the calendar year as well. Now, we also have things like data analysis and recommendations, which involve extracting, again, that key information from contracts and turning it into more actionable insights to inform your organization. So, these recommendations can enable businesses to improve their processes, mitigate risks, and optimize performance throughout the contract lifecycle. Particularly with CobbleStone, our workflow manager allows users to set up on screen alerts related to your contracts, such as high risk notices, flagging if contract values are above maybe the average contract value in the system, and much more. And this reduces contract cycle times, again, automates renewals, and overall just enhances reporting and visibility for your contracts across the board. Now, our next slide here is going to be a quick video that I'm going to walk you through today when it comes to the AI within our software. In order to initiate any of the AI processes, we're going to easily drag and drop a file into our top little rectangle. It'll flag us that we've dropped a file into Cobblestone and what we want to do with it. So today we'll go ahead and we'll create a contract and we'll select what type we're going to be choosing and working with, which is a license agreement. We can see here on the right-hand side, a number of different metadata fields have already been pre-populated for us based on the extractions that have been set up within the AI itself. Everything from your basic, contract title and counterparty to services and deliverables language, total project cost, service levels, contract obligations, warranties, and more. And really, the beautiful thing when it comes to these particular extractions is maybe even if there's a few fields that the AI doesn't fill out, it can still fill out the majority of that information for you. We also have a clauses section, which will break down the specific clauses that were found within the document itself. So here we can see we're highlighting our amendments clause that was found. So it'll provide us with that specific language, along with some other options that we have as well, such as adding that information and language to the training data to really back up that machine learning, adding directly to the clause library, or creating a task. We can also view similar clauses if we have existing clauses of this type already in our library and have a side by side comparison of those. We also offer a clause replacement tool, which allows us to from our current clause library versus what was found in the document. And if there are any clauses that we want to just automatically redline and strike out to replace with our preferred language, we can go through, select that. Once we've selected all the clauses that need to be updated, we can click on update. And once we save this particular contract record, this will create a new record within the system, and there will be two files attached, the original document that was dropped in, and then we'll also have the redline document that's replaced with all those preferred clauses. We have our validation messages on here as well. I'll go back to that little slide for a sec. We have our automation message here for us too, letting us know that this is an abnormal contract amount. So again, when we talk about things like risk and kind of flagging those items within the system, that is a great example of it. Now, moving on to risk identification and prevention. This involves, again, extracting those key pieces of information from contracts and turning it into more actionable insights. So, the recommendations that really follow enable businesses to improve their processes overall, mitigate risk, and optimize performance throughout the contract lifecycle. Cobblestone provides a risk. plethora really of risk assessment tools that do provide insight into employee usage of various risk mitigations tools, which we see on the bottom left hand side. And then we also have our risk assessment matrix map, which allows us to identify key categories of risk that are user defined within the system and plot the probability that risk will occur and the percentage of risk exposure to our organizations. And then users can plot those per contract, and we can have an overall universal view of the potential risk when it comes to this particular contract. Now let's talk a little bit about auto redlining. We've kind of been tiptoeing around this a little bit today, but auto redlining allows us to flag potential issues, select or suggest revisions, and really ensure consistency in our contracts throughout. This can save you time by automatically making those red lines for you. You have the ability, as always, to review the AI suggestions and make strategic decisions. Maybe, on a case by case basis, maybe you wouldn't choose to run a particular piece of language versus the majority or other times. So you can absolutely override the selections from the AI if needed. And you also have version track and key, which are obviously critical for managing the complete history of a document and ensure that does. So let's take a look at that auto redlining in process. So to initiate any of the auto redlining processes, we're going to do that and initiate that from our files and attachments. In our document toolbox, we have our auto redline feature. So once we click on that, this will initiate the auto redline process. And once it's been completed, we will get a gold notification bar letting us know that that has been completed. Once the auto redline has been completed, we'll open up our second version of that document with that Visdom redline here, and we'll open that in its native format, which is Microsoft Word. Once we download that document and open it in Microsoft Word, we will see our preferred clauses that we have set up within the system to participate in the auto redline have been struck out, and our preferred clause has been inserted into the document as a red line. So as we scroll down here, we can see that the assignment clause was struck and our preferred language was added along with the comment of Cobblestone's Wisdom AI is located and replaced the assignment clause. So, something that is really beneficial and helpful when it comes to the overall auto redlining feature is again, users have the ability to define what their preferences are, what their preferred language is from their clause library. And then when they run that auto redline, the tool already knows that it needs to look for that preferred language. If it doesn't find it, it needs to insert it again via that red line as we just saw. Now let's talk about accuracy, which, as I'm sure we're all familiar with, AI does bring a new level of accuracy by automating and enhancing how contracts are created, reviewed, and monitored. Everything that we've talked about so far today contributed to improved accuracy of contracts overall. But let's talk some more about specific examples of AI improving accuracy. So we saw our auto redline process, which helps with overall clause standardization. We looked at version control, which will timestamp and provide an audit trail to ensure that our users are always working on the latest version of the contract records at any given time. And then AI recommendations can suggest missing terms and provide clarification recommendations as well. So overall, we really just have smarter and safer contracts overall when utilizing AI. Now, I kind of pointed this out on a previous slide as well, but AI that can integrate with your current systems is really a game changer. So, this helps to avoid major disruptions to operations. Teams can continue using the tools that they're familiar with while benefiting from AI enhancements, which will also help adoption move faster and smoother and really maximize your ROI as well. CobbleStone has recently released some exciting new plugins with Microsoft Word and Outlook, which we will walk through on the next slide. So taking a look at our Word plugin here, we have a number of AI features such as an AI summary. This will provide us an overall summary of the document. What is really, soup to nuts? What is this contract that we're looking at here? It'll also provide us with some findings and suggestions, and it'll also provide us suggestions to replace language as well. You can see here we have the ability to replace the language. It'll insert it into the contract as a red line. We can also view specific alerts, both critical warnings and information about this particular contract. And again, we can go ahead, view a number of different suggestions when it comes to the AI and their suggestions and choose to replace them if we'd like. Again, when it comes to these AI recommendations, again, they're just that, recommendations. You do not need to utilize or replace those particular suggestions if you don't feel comfortable with them. And you can also utilize this to generate new clause language or suggest new clause language in a more agentic AI way as well by creating new consulting languages, etc. We can also utilize the AI to perform reviews of this contract, where again, we can go through kind of some areas that the AI might want us to do a double check on and really review and confirm that language. And then we also have our Outlook plugin here as well, which allows us to seamlessly get documentation into the CobbleStone system, whether we're doing that through updating an existing contract within the tool itself, or if we're creating a brand new contract that doesn't exist within CobbleStone. We can do this all within the Outlook plugin for, again, that kind of seamless integration between the two systems. The beautiful thing when it comes to the Outlook plugin as well is that permissions are also taken into account. So, for example, if a user can't add a contract in the web based version of CobbleStone, they also won't be able to add a new contract within the Outlook plugin as well. Now, I would also just like to briefly go back to the Microsoft Word section as well, because I do want to point out in the review functionality. As we can see here up at the top, we've been provided with three specific pieces of language that the AI has determined that it might be beneficial for us to review. We can see at the moment that none have been reviewed, and therefore it's been 0% completed when it comes to the review in general. But as we go through, it'll provide us either in clauses or categories. So you can see we're viewing things right here within the clause view. And as I click on the finding, it'll show me where that finding is. It'll give me a breakdown of what the specific concern is. And I have the ability to go in and check off when there are specific items that I have already reviewed that don't really require further, review, red lines, etc. So it's all suggestions from the AI to, again, when we're talking about kind of that tag team and that partnership, we really see a lot of it with this new AI functionality. Now, like I mentioned, with Cobblestone's Wisdom AI, there are various features and functionality that can grant contract managers better contract visibility, reduce contract risk, and proactive contract oversight. So we'll be kind of diving into some of these bullet points, and then I'll kind of be adding some other ones along the way. So today we've talked about things like data extraction and field mapping. So organizations can reduce the time it really takes to enter new contracts into a contract management system. Contract managers have the ability to avoid wasting time manually importing key data fields thanks to intelligent data extraction and field mapping. Wisdom has the ability to identify and classify key data like locations, dates, monetary values, emails, phone numbers, counterparties, and much more. As we saw with that drag and drop feature, that allows us to create contracts for rapid introduction of a contract into the system. And then natural language processing with Wisdom will streamline the data, automate that data extraction, and automatically fill in critical information within the contract records. Document clause detection, like we saw as well, can really allow contract management software users to compare clauses with their organization's pre approved library easily. And future minded contract intelligence tools are very highly configurable. So users can oversee how to, search algorithm preferences, how those are set, and where that contract management AI is implemented within the contract management software. When we talk about things like risk assessment mapping, when teams add a new contract into Contract Insight, Wisdom can help identify potential risks by systematically analyzing that document text, allowing the system to identify, high risk language on a contract. Graphic based risk rating and mapping features that we've looked at today can also provide valuable insight for assessing contract risk overall. And more intuitive graphics, like that risk assessment matrix, present risk probability patterns for potential future risk. And this level of visibility can just overall really aid teams in making informed risk management decisions with just less hesitation. With statistical data analysis, again, contract managers can identify more positive or neutral facts about their contract within their systems and help with that visibility and strategy. Like we saw previously, if a contract has a value that is maybe a percentage greater or a monetary amount greater than the average contract value in the system, message alerts can be configured as well as updated contract workflow automation processes as well. And again, we have that immediate recommendation based on that real time data. So, intelligent things like workflow and AI can provide managers with pre configured on screen recommendations, and Wisdom can be configured to send those notifications and alerts as well. Now, as we've been talking about, Wisdom AI is Cobblestone's proprietary AI based contract management engine with machine learning. Wisdom can simplify the contract administration for a wide variety of industry professionals just by unifying people and processes thanks to a seamless integration between AI and AI contracts. And I also want to point out that within the last year, we also introduced an enhanced AI, which we've been calling Wisdom Plus. Plus, that is more of an analytical side of AI as well, where it can review contracts, again, pull out maybe high risk language that we need to be flagged or notified of. We also have the ability to view contracts through a different scope or a different lens with the sentiment feature as well, which, if we want to view what a contract looks like for the counterparty that we're working with, is there language in that document that's particularly positive for them that's maybe not so positive for us. That allows us to, again, as we're working through the contract, we're working through negotiating that specific contract. It allows us to view that on a kind of, a different level. And maybe we need to negotiate that particular clause down to be more favorable to both parties. So the AI landscape and AI arena is really rapidly growing before our very eyes at almost breakneck speed, it seems. So we're happy that we're able to continue offering advanced AI features and functionality, as well as our standard out of the box AI that's available, with every single client system that we work with. And really, in closing, again, I'd like to thank you all for your time this afternoon and walking through really the journey of AI with us. As I mentioned at the start, we are offering a giveaway to whoever registers for a demo and attends the demo. You will automatically win either a $20 Amazon gift card or a donation to one of these three charities that you see on the screen. So if you're interested, scan the QR code on the screen to sign up. We'll also be posting the link to the QR code in the chat as well if you would prefer just to utilize the link. And I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone has. So feel free to utilize the chat and I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I do have a few questions coming in, so I'll get those asked in just a moment. But as a reminder, go ahead and send your questions to everyone in the chat box. If you'd like to send them to Kristen and myself directly, you can change that to option to host and panelists. And to go ahead and get started, I did put that QR code link in the chat box if you are interested in registering for that giveaway. First question, Kristen.
Mhm.
How does the system handle amendments and or parent-child contracts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, within the system itself and within Cobblestone, we have a AI feature that's called Extract. So, if we're uploading amendments or, child really amendments more in this case, to the files and attachments, we can run that Extract and AI process on that document. So if we're doing things like, okay, the expiration date was amended, we could have the AI identify that and update that field for us. Or if it's our preference to have those kind of in two different contracts within the system or two different records within the system, we can absolutely drag and drop files in for that kind of automated contract creation, have the AI analyze the document, extract the data, provide us with those kind of sentiment views to add and link records together within the system. So, a pretty seamless way to integrate for amendments and parent or child contracts.
Great, thank you so much. Um, and then can Cobblestone integrate with Salesforce to bring in data from Salesforce fields and populate on the document itself?
Sure, absolutely. So when it comes to integration, Salesforce is probably one of the most common integrations that we do on a regular basis. So when it comes to integrations, especially specifically with Salesforce, they can be either unilateral or bilateral, where information can kind of push and pull or pull, words are hard sometimes, between both systems. Um, and that makes it easier again. So we're not doing kind of duplicate data entry in two different systems. And then you can also utilize things like automated template creation based on those metadata fields as well to generate contracts or various documentation as well. So yeah, integration is very, very common, especially with Salesforce. I'd recommend reaching out to your assigned um, account manager within Cobblestone, and they'd be happy to schedule a demo with you if you would like to see that in action as well.
Great, thank you so much. And I know that you have offered this demo, but do you also offer a trial period so that people can test the platform?
Yes, we absolutely do. So, right on the Cobblestone website, which our website is on screen right now, just cobblestonesoftware.com, you have the ability to register for a free 30-day trial. This allows you to have basically a sandbox version of the system to utilize for 30 days, test out, have various different proof of concepts that you'd like to test out within the system. And as I mentioned, you'll also be assigned a account manager as well. That account manager can absolutely work with you to walk you through how to configure certain items or kind of configure those proof of concepts that you're looking for to test out the system. And also included in all of our trials is not only our Visdom Basic, so all the out of the box AI features that we offer, but also that Visdom Plus, that enhanced AI, that more analytical AI that I had mentioned as well. So both of those are available within our trial environments. Would absolutely recommend, if you're interested in evaluating softwares at the moment, there's no better way to go about that evaluation than taking advantage of those trials. So like I said, if you sign up for them on our website, you'll have one provisioned for you relatively quickly to start using and testing out.
That's amazing. And then after that trial time frame and we decide to go with the software, how long does it typically take to implement?
Yes, that's another great question. So, I will say it's almost a twofold question if because we're coming off the back of the question about trials, right? So I've worked with a number of clients that have put a ton of work into the trial system. And while they may be using, maybe dummy data or sample contracts and things like that, they've gone in and done a good amount of configuration through user defined fields, built reports, built dashboards, etc. And some of those clients, when they, eventually sign the agreement with Cobblestone, they choose to bring all that configuration over to their production system when they become a client. So for instances like that, you're talking about a really seamless and pretty speedy implementation in that aspect because you've already done a lot of the legwork with that trial. Um, but I also have clients that they really use the trial environments to, really just get messy, and it probably looks like, a toddler's room with toys all over the place, those trial systems. um, so for clients like that that want kind of a blank system, or maybe they didn't have a trial system to start off with, typical implementation is between 60 to 120 days. That can vary, obviously, due to scope of the project, due to client bandwidth. If you're able to meet, 5 days a week for 2 hours a day, I mean, you're going to have a system up and running much, much closer, and maybe even less than that 60 days. But if it's something where, hey, we have, four integrations that we need to get up and running and live, and we can only meet once a week for a half an hour, you're going to be on the longer end of that implementation. So I would really kind of think about, when you're starting to look at, bringing on a software and starting that implementation phase, the more prepared you and your team can be going into that in terms of, having availability, being able to set aside time, knowing what your specific goals are and what you want to accomplish, it's only going to benefit you with having a more effective and overall a shorter implementation process overall.
So really utilizing that free trial time frame is a huge benefit, huh?
Truly. Honestly, the most successful clients that I work with are ones that really utilize that trial because it allows them to learn the system. And even if it's something where, like, hey, like, this didn't turn out well. Like, we thought we needed to utilize it for this, but it didn't turn out right. It allows you to kind of, fail in certain aspects as well. And you're like, okay, well, now we know that, we were kind of pushing the boundaries on that. It's not, maybe we're not necessarily looking for the system for that. That was just a nice to have. So yeah, I mean, I really can't speak enough to those trials. And like I said, being able just to, it's not like we throw you into the deep end without, your floaties on or anything like that. Being able to schedule those trial work sessions with your account manager where they can really support your team and make sure that you all are set up for success and understand the system, is, it can't go without saying how helpful that is in the overall process.
Amazing. Um, so how about, I have another question. Are there any out of the box integrations that are currently available?
Yeah, so we have a few. So like I mentioned, there are things like plugins with, Outlook, with Microsoft Word. Um, we also offer connectors with DocuSign, Adobe Sign, and Sign Now e-sign platforms. So if you utilize any of those, you can leverage that. We call it our third-party e-sign connector, to send signatures out from the Cobblestone system. And once the signatures are completed, they'll automatically be routed back into the record that they were sent from. So that is very, very beneficial. Um, and then we also have, they're not necessarily like out of the box configurations, but I do want to highlight, like I mentioned, things like Salesforce integrations, NetSuite integrations. We do work with an organization called Workato, which is like a middleware recipe that they're able to provide us. So we can really easily kind of plug and play with a large number of additional softwares as well. Um, so again, even though it's a little bit different because they're not necessarily like out of the box, ready the second that you know, have a live system, it just allows for very, very seamless integration with other softwares as well.
Thank you. Um, Now how can our legacy contracts and data get into Cobblestone?
Yes, that's a good question, especially when we're talking about things like AI. There's a couple different ways that you can go about it. So, when it comes to Cobblestone, we can absolutely bulk import records into the system and your legacy records into the system. When it comes to our bulk import features, they tend to work from the perspective of a spreadsheet. So if you have spreadsheets that you're already tracking all of your contract data on, you're 20 steps ahead of the game. And you have the ability to kind of just import that spreadsheet into the system really seamlessly. If, however, that's not the case, which again, I've worked with a lot of clients where have just told me like all our stuff's in a shared drive and there's no way that we're going to be able to get that many contracts into a spreadsheet. And if that's the case, we can also look into things like data extraction services where we can work with our AI partners to kind of, pull out the relevant information from your contract records, extract that information out into a spreadsheet to then import into the system. So you have a number of different options when it comes to importing that, like those legacy records within the system itself. Again, I think best for that, have the conversation with your designated account representative at Cobblestone. They'll be able to kind of give you more information and kind of walk you through what your specific options are.
Thank you. And then I'm listening to you say, the words bulk import and data extraction. So is there a storage limit? What's the system allowing for storage?
Yeah, so our standard storage quote unquote limit is that it's unlimited. So the standard is that there's no limits to how much you can store within the system itself. We have worked with a number of clients in the past where they do actually, for one reason or another, be it budgets or whatever the case may be, they do want to be able to take advantage of having a limit. So we do have limited kind of storage options if that's something that works for you. I would say that's definitely the exception, not the rule. More often than not, people are very, very happy to be able to have unlimited contract storage, file storage within the system. But just know if you do like the idea of having a more limited space for any reason. Again, like I said, a lot of it comes down to cost sometimes. So sometimes for budget reasons, it's a great option. There are those packages available as well.
Thank you. And I'm on my last question that has been submitted. So as a reminder to any attendees, if you do have any additional questions that I haven't asked, go ahead and put them in the chat box and we'll get to those as soon as we're done with this one. So user access, are
Mhm.
there different levels? So can some people in my organization only see some information and others can access more?
Absolutely. So within the system itself, there is pretty advanced permissioning that you're able to set up and assign to users. So that way they're only seeing the specific information that they need to see. And this can be everything from even as granular as, I have a certain group of users that can access, a particular contract, but maybe there's a few fields on that contract record that we don't want them to be able to see for one reason or another. You can restrict things down to a field level if need be. You can also do kind of like your basic things like, hey, a user, I don't want them to be able to add things, but they are able to edit or they're not able to delete records within the system. So, yeah, it's very, very dynamic when it comes to permissions within the system. And the other really great thing as well within the tool that we offer is when it comes to permissions is security groups essentially, instead of having to piecemeal permissions together every single time you add a new user to the system, you could build out these security groups, assign all the appropriate permissions, user dashboards, etc., and then you just assign the users as they're added to your system to that group, and it bulk assigns them permissions in really one shot. So that is kind of a big time saver when it comes to adding users and various permissions in the system.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I really appreciate you answering all these questions that have come in, and I will turn it back to you for any final statements. I did put the link to cobblestonesoftware.com in the chat box one more time for all the attendees, and remember the QR code is in there as well for you to sign up for a demo. But I'll pass it back to you, Kristen, for just your final remarks before we close.
Perfect. Again, thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. We very much appreciate it. I know that today it was really PowerPoint focused, so we definitely encourage you to schedule that demo so that way we can walk you through the functionality in person, answer any questions you have in the moment. Sometimes people like to ask questions a bit more one-on-one than in a group setting. So again, definitely encourage you to do that so you can see the features and functionality. Again, if you're interested in evaluating the software, sign up for that trial on our website. Very easy to do so. But yeah, I hope that today's session was helpful. I hope that there was some bits of information that was beneficial. And yeah, look forward to speaking with you all soon. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And yeah, thanks so much for the time to present.